Hey guys, I think I'm live. So yeah, this is the first Q&A of the Illustration for Imagination masterclass program, and I'm super happy to be here with you guys. Let me know before I start all of this. Let me know if you see me well, if you hear me well, and yeah, I'm looking forward to all of your questions. This session is for you to be able to ask any question whatsoever that you have about the program. These are not meant for paint overs, but if you have any question whatsoever about the program or about the modules or about really anything about digital painting, I'll be with you for about around an hour. So yeah, looking forward. I'm seeing VJ already. Noor, thank you so much for being there. This is awesome. I also want to congratulate everybody that had the time to put their sketches in the community. I saw so much great work, guys. I'm very proud of all the work you've been doing. So keep it up. You still have, I believe, a day to put your work for the group critiques video, which I'll record for you guys next week. I'm looking forward to do it. So yeah, there's more people. Victor, Mary, VJ again. Sveti, sorry if I mispronounced that, and Maeve. So yeah, hi guys. And thank you, Mary, for letting me know that you see me well and hear me well. So as usual, let me know if you have any question by putting a capital Q in front of questions, so visually I'll be able to see it better. And also we can share where we are in the world if you guys want. I just moved to Colombia during the COVID outbreak. I was in Thailand and I got separated with my girlfriend, and now I'm in Colombia, reunited. Well, I'll be reunited in about a week. I'm still in quarantine at the moment. This is my first week of quarantine. I don't have COVID so far, so that's good. Hopefully it's gonna stay this way. So yeah. And finally, for me, it's also it's 10 in the morning. Usually, I was doing those sessions at night in Thailand to be able to catch everybody on a better time. And this time, it's earlier in the morning, which I'm pretty happy, to be honest. I'm a morning person. I don't know about you, but I'm always more productive in the morning. TLM says from the US. Awesome. I'm assuming a lot of people will be from the US for this time zone. It's gonna work better. Also, I'm gonna do those Q&As on 2 different time zone, guys. So I'm doing this one at this time. I'm gonna have another one a little bit later, I believe, to catch up different people on different time zone. I'll let you know by email, but that's probably gonna happen. See for people from Calgary, and W Pacific North. All right, cool. So we catch a few people. So all right, guys, let me know how was your first week. Let me know, do you have any questions? How did you like to do the sketches, the thumbnails? I know for a lot of you guys, it was the first time. How did you like the exercises? If you have any questions, feedback whatsoever. Also, as you are now a lifetime member of Illustration for Imagination, you'll get every update in the future. So don't be shy to pass on your feedback. If there's something that you would like to have in the course, in the program, you can always let me know, and I'll be working on it in between the different launch. The next time we're going to launch is probably going to be in a year, so I have a lot of time to be able to work on the course, adding some stuff. So as you go towards it, if you have any questions, any feedback, please let me know. I'm always really happy to hear it. And so I'm seeing Mir says, not a morning person. I am watching with one eye. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, apparently what I heard recently is there's apparently 40% of the population is morning, 40% is what we call a night owls, and the rest, 20%, is kind of in between. So it's interesting. I always thought that there would be a lot more morning person than night owl, but apparently it's just half and half. So yeah. Nor says from Portugal. It's 8 a.m. No, is it 8 a.m.? It's 4 p.m. right now. Yeah, that would make sense. Valentina is from Colombia. Oh, well, that's the same time zone. So Nora says it was very fun until now, and I'm really happy with the results. Well, I'm great. I'm really glad. So like I said, I saw so many great thumbnails, guys. Really great ideas. The first module is all about pushing your ideas and trying to really just establish better concepts. Obviously working on your composition a little bit, but you'll be able to work next week on making your composition a little bit more polished with the final sketching. So it's all about really putting the ideas. Keeping an eye on your composition is great, but don't stress too much about it. Right now, putting the different ideas is really what's necessary here. Sabrina says, doing the thumbnails has been a cool experience. I normally only do a 1 or 2 using pen and paper, and it's been a lot of fun brainstorming a lot more ideas and small scales. Yeah, it's something that once you're going to start doing it, you'll see the advantage of it, because your ideas will develop with time. You'll get faster to develop ideas with the tricks that you get. At the beginning, it's a little bit of a a learning curve. It takes a bit of time. That's normal. It takes you more time and you feel like you're slow. So if you feel slow like this, don't worry. That's totally normal. That's gonna come with time. You'll get faster. You'll get your own workflow as well. So yeah. VJ says, I really enjoyed the module. I learned very interesting techniques and 3 values and basic presentation. Yeah. So yeah, I saw a lot of people being a little bit confused about the values. The values are there for now as just separating, foreground, middle ground, background, helping understanding a little bit more what's on your thumbnail. I didn't give you too much information about the value because I'm going to give you more information in the lighting module. When we're going to talk about lighting, you'll understand how light works, and in your future thumbnails, you'll be able to do that separation of value with a lot more ease than maybe you were doing right now, because you'll understand how to place your lights. So that's coming. But for now, if you just put a little bit of value on them to separate your elements with a little bit of contrast, that's all you need to do. Serenity says, any advice on how to draw hands better? I could create a tutorial about it and have it so many things. It's like everything, really, like any topic. Now, I'm just going to remind you guys that these sessions are for questions, so I'm not going to be able to just go Photoshop and show you that. I'm not prepared for that either. But when it comes to any subject, try to break it down. So you'll see we're going to have a lot of steps and a lot of breakdown into illustration for imagination to really break down every pieces together and then put them together to create a poster. You want to do the same thing with any subject, really. There's so many ways you can break down a hand. There's, each fingers, there's the gesture of the hand, there's the muscles, there's the bones. You want to break them down and basically practice each of them. And with knowing all of those, you'll get better. When it comes to anatomy, it is a lot of learning by heart kind of thing. You need to study anatomy to be able to draw it, but you also need to study gesture of the hands, right? The hand can have so many cool gesture and so many different angles. It can really overwhelming. There's a lot of observation, a lot of photo studies that are important to do this. So when it comes to hands, I think it's just because the learning curve is so slow at the beginning that people think that it takes them forever. They're not learning anything, but really just try to have some small sessions. Try to, draw 5 different gesture hands per week, for example. And after a month of that, you'll get that much faster. And then you can start learning about the muscles and anatomy, and you understand what the bumps and folds of your hands are doing. You'll be able to see them on your reference image also with more ease. And all of that things is going to start building and building and building. And at some point, you'll be able to do them from imagination. So that's the long answer. In a nutshell, there's no shortcut, especially for those kind of things. Jovan says, I'm most definitely a night owl. Even when I get up early, I get a burst of energy at night. That's very cool. I'm so the opposite. When it comes 5-6 o'clock, I'm starting sleeping, and it takes me forever to do anything. So I basically stop at 5. I'm just gonna check if there's question. I got Noor says, are we going to have a group like this, more focus on class, or group calls? Did not get the part very well, sorry. So if you have any question about how this is going to work, you can always download the student handbook. It's on the side of the course. You have all the information in there. So we're going to have Q&As like this where you can ask questions, and I'm going to collect your work that you're going to send tomorrow. I'm going to take a sample of that work, and I'm going to create extra classes to help you guys to understand things that people had difficulties, like tangent lines and so on. basically giving you a little bit more of feedback on that. And you can always also tag my name in the community. I'm trying to give the feedback to everybody that I can see. Sometimes I miss one or two, but you can also get a lot of feedback from the community itself. So definitely always post your work in the community. Tag my name on it if you want me to not miss it, and I'll do my best to come back at everybody that does that. And we'll have also the group critiques that will be basically extra knowledge on how to fix your work and how to update the exercises that we're going to do together. Ellen says, should we include all the listed prompts from the brief? No, you don't have to. They're there for inspiration. So you can put one, you can put two, you can put none if you want to, right? The idea is to think also in a way that you're going to learn so much in this course that if you put too much material, and I saw great sketches, guys, very complicated ones too. And I'm always a bit afraid because although I want you to get excited, I want you to push the limits. If you go too hard, too fast, you're going to have a hard time, especially when we're going to start learning about rendering and lighting, these subjects. There's a learning curve. There's exercises to help you learn it faster, but still, you'll have to have the same time, a week or so to go through it, right? I think rendering, we're going to actually have 2 weeks. I think I added more time to that, but still, so you have to make sure when you're doing your concept right now that you're doing something that inspires you, but also gives you the flexibility to learn all those techniques at the same time. So when it comes to the prompts, you can add a few definitely to help you. Like if you're doing like the Wizard of Oz, maybe you want to add the main four characters. Maybe you want to add the Emerald City, the monkeys and all that, and that's great. But you have to think about, all right, how can I create an awesome poster but not also kill myself having to paint all the time and therefore losing the momentum. That's what I really don't want you to have to deal with. You want to keep your momentum all the time. So question, if you guys put a capital Q please in front of the question so it's easier for me to see them. Wait, what's happening here? Sorry. Mir, you said, yeah, I agree with Sabrina. I still think I rely heavily on reference from different sources to build my thumbnail. Is that okay? Absolutely, guys. So the misconception when it comes to references is that artists don't use references. It's not true. It's just not true. So there's two ways to draw that artists do. It's from imagination and from memory, right? So very, very little people draw from memory. Most of us draw from reference pictures, from imagination. So what you want to do is you invent something, you put it on canvas, you do your best, you take reference photo to inspires you, and then you're gonna have a unique ideas that was inspired by reference pictures. You're not copying them, you're using them to get to a higher level. And you're gonna use reference all the way with this class. You're gonna use reference for your composition, you're gonna use reference for your anatomy, you're gonna use reference for your textures. The idea is to get all the information that you don't have in your memory right now and to get there. That's going to be a work that you're going to do the whole career. You're always going to look for different texture, different reference to help you to finish the poster that you want to do. So don't feel bad if you're heavily like using your references. What I don't want you to do is to copy them for what they are, right? So if you're copying like exactly a whole poster and then you're just copying that's not your creation. But if you're taking the anatomy and the pose and gesture of one character for your idea, and then the landscape city for another one, and then you see some clouds, you use those for clouds and all of that, that's great. You're just putting all of those information within one. And eventually, with more practice, with what the things we're going to learn in this course about lighting from imagination and all this, you'll be able at some point to close the gaps between what you don't know. You'll be able to put all those ideas and start to create your own thing from it. So it's a learning curve right now. Don't stress about it. Has as many references as you can. It's really, really important. So I see VJ says, my inspiration is lagging a little while I'm doing the thumbnail sketches. More couldn't build more on above the concept. Any advice on that? So if you're having a art block, because I think that's what you're saying, try to do either more research, check the work of the other students that they're doing, and try to simplify things. So sometimes to just get you started, you need to do something a little bit more simple. Try, for example, to do a layout with only shapes, triangles, circles, like squares, and just try to move things around, or just take one of your ideas and try to break that ideas into different ideas. So you can zoom in it, you can change the camera angle, you can, you can place the different elements at different places. You want to think about a poster as like a canvas with different elements, and you can move them around, make them bigger, make them smaller, and all of that. That's the exercise that you're supposed to do. So if you feel like the concepts and ideas are not flowing as much, then try to break down one, and from doing that exercise, you'll get more idea. The truth is momentum and building ideas comes by doing the work. Just looking at your canvas won't do anything. What you really need to do is to try some stuff, because while doing some stuff, you'll do some mistakes, you'll do some experimentation, and all of this is going to bring you new ideas in your head, and that's where it's going to start rolling and rolling. So really the idea is to just do whatever you can to continue and keep your momentum. Ideas will flow. And with time, you'll get better at this also. It's your first time. I totally understand. 20 thumbnails, guys, is actually a lot. It's not a small task. I said 20. If you're falling short of that, it's fine. 20 it's already a lot. So don't stress too much about how many you did. Just do your best and try to keep at it. I think with that advice, you should be good to go. Roger says, my thumbnail wasn't sure how to show a movement with a picture within a picture style. Do you try use background sources? Show that. So when it comes to movement, first of all, it's not every concept that needs movement, so that's one thing, right? But if you're having movement, like I showed in the module, you can have like lines of movements for like characters that are moving. But you can also like have direction line, right? So if you have, for example, a perspective that goes towards one point, that's going to create a focal point, right? So you want to use those things. If you have a character that's pointing with his arm like that, that's a natural movement or direction or a direction line that can be used. The idea is to think about, where do I want the people to look on my canvas? And you want to direct the eyes of the viewer towards there, right? So you can place the clouds, for example, in a certain way that goes towards where you want people. And once you're at that new place, you can place, a line that goes, let me shut that down, a line that goes towards another point, and then you move the eyes of the viewer like that. So that's the way to do it. So when it comes to movement, don't stress too much about it. Just think about first, do you need movement? And then just try to see those lines that you can point out. There's a lot of it. It's going to come with practice, but for now, that's the best advice I can give you, really. Nora says, great handbook. I'm glad that you like it. So homework needs to send tomorrow. What's already submit today? So for what you need to submit for the group critiques, guys, is your 6 favorites. So just pick up your 6 and put them into the form. I'll be taking all of this. You should have received an email. If you didn't, you will receive an email to remind you. But you can also access the group critiques, I bet, if I remember, on the course, so on the menu of the course. You can click on it and simply upload your work, I'll create a video with it during early next week. Valentina says, I'm still on my 14th thumbnail and I need to finish the rest of the videos. Well, you still have some time, don't rush too much about it. If you feel like it's taking you more time than it is, you're able to follow the momentum, you can always look at the first video of each modules. In the first video, I will give you what are the homeworks and what are the deliverables, and focus on the deliverables only. So you have 14s right now. You could just stick at 14s and pick up your 6 favorites from that and then upload that, right? Reminder also, you have lifetime access to this. You'll be able to go back and forward to this and do it again and again. There's some people that are participating today It's their fourth time they're doing IFI. So, you'll have plenty of opportunity to do it again. Serenity says, would to make a character bad when in the original story they was good? Absolutely. That's the cool thing. And I saw so many good ideas from you guys. I saw robots for Alice in Wonderland. That was amazing. I don't have all the ideas, but I was really impressed with the way you guys push the stories. You don't have to, but those ideas are great. Like there's like steampunks idea that I saw, and all sorts of different like genre to transform them. Boxing match. Really, guys, you did an awesome job already. So yeah, you can change your characters. You can make them good if they were bad. You can make them bad if they were good. Definitely up to you. Really, just let your imagination run wild. At the end of the day, we're having more flexibility here because we're having fun. It's a course. We are the clients as much as the brief is the client kind of thing. But so you can really just have fun with it. Try to push the limits. What you want to do is just a poster that expresses a story that is based on the brief that you have. But you can just have fun with it. Fanny says, about composition, how do you know if it's okay and will be easy to attract the eye? So first of all, it comes obviously with practice, but when it comes to just having like a few steps to just know if it's working well, you can see if there's a clear focal point, and if the focal point is actually what you want to have. So if you have a character, like I was saying in the course, a focal point, usually the face of the character, is pretty good. So to attract the eyes to that, you can either put lines that are pointing there. Lines can be branches of the forest that goes towards the face of the character. Lines can be the horizon line that goes through the face. Basically what you want to do is contrast. If you have a line like this and you put another one like that, you're going to be looking at that intersection, right? If you have two parallels, then you don't know where to look. But as soon as you stop it, that's going to be like a contrast in the movement of the line, in the direction of the lines. And that's how you do it. So you have a face and you put lines towards that. That's how you're going to do it. Let me know if you have more questions, but that's basically the gist of it. Are you answering questions submitted beforehand? That's a great question. You know what? I didn't have a look at. Let me just see that. But if you have a question that you want me to answer, just put it back in. I'm just gonna go see where's the questions, because I completely forgot to look at it. Airtable. Let me just see. Where is this Q&A session? There we go. All right, good reminder. Thank you, Maine. Or mine, sorry. Let me just check here. I need also to check when's the questions arrive. So I had a few here, and I think they're all from now. Yeah, perfect. So let me go check. Mine. All right, I got two questions from you. So mine, you were saying, is it a good idea to post my progress on Facebook or Instagram? Absolutely. I think posting your progress right now is also a way to commit to the work that you are doing, right? It's called accountability. And accountability is really, really important when you're doing anything. Talk about people, about what you're doing. Show the progress on Instagram. Show the progress on Facebook. It was Anastasio that was asking, I think yesterday or today, if he could post his stuff. And I'm like, absolutely. And if you guys want to share the stuff with the logo of Paintable, that's going to spread the love and let other people know that we have a course to help them. I mean, we're not going to open the doors anytime soon, but it's always great. So definitely share your work on Instagram and on Facebook. You can always tag on Instagram the at paintable.cc, I think, and we're probably going to start sharing a few of your work as well. So you can definitely do this. I think it's a great idea. Your other question was for forks also comment or give encouragement to people who post are not as exciting and popular as other. Share the love as many as possible. I'm not sure. It's not really a question. But okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to see if there's a few questions here that I can take. There was Diana that says, Sorry, that's a paragraph. I need to read it. It's a bit long. So you already said several times that it's not just cold, shadow, warm light, right? Cold, shadow, warm light. Is that a question from now? Wait, because I think it might be. Wait, we're at 10, maybe not. Where are we? Sorry, I'm looking at the dates right now. Okay, those are the dates. All right, so I had Emily here. That's okay. No, that's Emily. I have Serenity. It says, "Hi David. I struggle a lot with drawing hands." I think I already answered that. Azuka says, "I ask the same questions in the critiques, but I'm wondering why I get virtual zero attention on online platform. When I when I went to an actual art school and graduated in a top group, so I think my art is the quality, but you're not lucky on Facebook." Clearly something. All right, so if you guys are asking yourself why you don't get attention on social media is more than just showing your work. And I think we're a little bit early in the course for me to talk like in details of that. I'll be able to answer more questions about like promoting yourself later on. You have the Going Pro section as well as a course that you already have access to, but I would suggest for you to look at it a little bit later. When it comes to promotion in social medias, you have to think about it as being a constant conversation with your audience. It's not just a place where you put your work in a few hashtags. It's a place that you want to try to have interaction with people, right? You have to see it as being you promoting who you are, not just your art kind of thing. So it's like your sketches, your progress, your ups and downs, your quick wins, the things that you learned this week, the things that you'll do better next week. Obviously, your paintings, where you want to go, because all of those things will bring what we like fans, basically, right? And that's the first kind of movement you're going to get as promoting yourself, as having fans and other artists that will follow you as well. When it comes to the clients and social medias, if you don't have that attention already, it's hard because the algorithm of all those platforms is just not going to make you have a lot of eyes on your work. So you need to do just a little bit more work on being there on an everyday basis. You don't have to have necessarily final pieces. There's a lot of artists that I follow, they put only sketches, for example, and a sketch is a lot less time consuming than a final illustration. There's other people a little bit like me. I use mine a little bit more like a portfolio, but I use the Paintable Instagram to have a constant flow of inspiration. And I get a lot more people following me because of that, because it's just constant. I'm always posting something kind of thing. So it's really about finding a habit of talking about your progress on an everyday basis. If not every day, every 2 days and something like that. So it's not about if you're good or not. Think about it this way. There's millions of people that do art. From there's probably a few 100,000 that do good art. And then from there, you get smaller and smaller and smaller. There's so many people that you're getting lost in that flow. So to be in front of everybody, you need to be more than just someone that show art. You need to be someone that kind of project his day-to-day kind of life. It's the era in which we live in. It's more about sharing your progress on an everyday basis than showing your final pieces. Hopefully this is making sense. Roger says, in case you don't get my critiques, my drawings, a lot of picture within pictures, for what kind of setup, how do you go about showing movement? I think I'll already answer that. All right, perfect. Sorry, I'm going through the question you guys already submitted. Jason says, are the brushes going to be made compatible with Clip Studio Paint in the near future? So I'm working on this right now. I already have a few of them that are compatible with Clip Studio Paint. I would like to have all of them done that. So right now, what I can say is I don't know when they're going to be there, but I can promise you that I'm working on them as we speak. So in the near future, I'm going to try until the end, by the end of the year, I'll try to have all of them for Clip Studio Paint as well. Adriana says that you choose Sherlock Holmes and you need to create characters. Or do I okay, the question is, do I need to create my characters or do I follow one artist that have played that role. Okay, so so if you're choosing any brief, the idea is to not copy any kind of characters that's already created over there. So if you're taking Sherlock Holmes, for example, what you want to do is create a unique character. You'll be able to do that a little bit more next week. We're going to have like a little bit more on details and final sketch and anatomy. But what you want to think about is you want to inspire yourself from the characters that already exist with the different costumes and expressions and whatever, but you want to create your own, right? So if you're following, for example, the Sherlock Holmes TV series, it would be a better idea to create your own characters with his own facial features than trying to copy the actor that is doing that teleseries, for example, which I forgot the name of. But that's the idea. So you want to create your own separate characters. Yeah, okay, so cool. Adriana says, could you give advice on working with layers? I open layers and I get confused how to give origin to work. So if you're having trouble with layers, I would suggest for you to go into your bonuses. So if you're going into the library, so when you are on the Illustration for Imagination course, if you go in your library, go choose the Making Your First Mark. That's a new bonus, guys, that I gave you when you enrolled. And it's one of the first course that I give in the Digital Painting Academy that talks a lot about a lot of tools in Photoshop, and we have a section about layers in that too. Talk about mask, I believe, and how to stack layers correctly. That will give you a lot of knowledge. So I would put you there first. Have a look at this. If you have more questions, then you can always hit me in the community. Tag my name so I can see your questions, or the next Q&A. But I think that really that course is going to give you everything that you need. I have Kiera says, do you have any advice for creating interesting backgrounds to stop the background from being too plain without taking away from the focal point? That really depends on the kind of composition you're going to have. But if you have let's say you're using a flat background, there's obviously texture that really works well. Usually what I like to do is get inspired from like old painting oils, what they would do, like a lot of texture brushes for the background. You can use a few different brushes, really important to use more than one brush. If you use the same one, it's going to be a little bit more boring. So if you use a few different texture brushes on your background and kind of paint it all, this will create already something good. You can also change the hues a little bit, so not having just one color, but if you're having like, let's say, a background that's like red, you want to have dark red, pale red, not in too much contrast, stay like close together when I say dark and pale, but still like close to the same kind of value. And you want to change the hues as well a little bit. That's going to create like a really cool background. For the rest, if you're doing like a perspective of something, that's a question of having just the right reference pictures to help you with. Question from Fanny here says, you struggle with the values. I do understand the principle, but it's still have a hard time applying it. So like I was saying about the value for the thumbnails, right now don't stress too much about it. We're going to talk about lighting in the next future modules, and you'll understand a little bit more about value and a little bit more about how to do your thumbnails as well. What I want you to do right now is just to do contrast. You want to just separate foreground, middle ground, background, making sure that we understand what are the different elements at a quick glance on your thumbnails, because those at the end of the day are quick ideas for you. So you don't need to go over the board with it. So just for now, just do what you can do here is just putting like foreground, middle ground, background, different values. I'm sure you're doing already a good job, and later on you'll understand a little bit more about lighting. This is going to help you. The reason why I didn't give any like information about it right away, it would have been just overwhelming on the first module. We're going to cover that in much more details later on. Angela says, if we are concerned, our thumbnails are not emoting enough emotion, should we go back to research for photo reference? So right now, when it comes to emotions, don't stress too much about it. Like to put emotion on thumbnail is pretty. It's pretty doing some word. I'm looking for a word here. It's an overkill. you don't want to put emotions on the characters that you're having on your thumbnails. Those are very small. They're there to like understanding the idea, understanding where you're going to go with your painting, to just put ideas really, and a little bit of composition. Next week, when we're going to do our final sketches, then you'll probably want to have a bit more research about the expression of your characters and find those references to help you with it. But for now, as long as you're doing your composition, you'll be fine. That I already answered. Riniki says, let me just open that bigger. When I created the thumbnails in Module 1, I did not use any grid to guide the composition since I was not recommended. At which stage should I use the grid? So the grids are great to know them. You don't have to necessarily like place your stuff always on this, but if you don't know about them, then what I would suggest is start with the rule of third. Now there's a lot of different grids that can be done, but the rule of third always works. It's a great way to work with a little bit more of a direction. At the end of the day, every grid is not like a step-by-step manual. It's more like a good to have. So if you look at the rule of third, for example, you'll realize that the center square from it is really where the attention needs to be. And so you need to not put too much stuff on the side and use those lines to kind of put stuff on it where the lines is crossing. Those will create a good placement for your work. You can definitely use any of other grid, but if you're not familiar with them, I would start with the rule of third. This is going to be plenty to have something really elegant on your thumbnails and especially on your sketch next week. I have Natalia here, says, hello David. Hey, I have a question during the ideation phase. I can make a lot of ideas how not to overcomplicate it, your composition. When you're thinking, understand too much stuff. Okay, so to not overcomplicate your thumbnails, what you want to do is think about shapes, right? So you can put a character and then start. I saw like a few of you guys did amazing thumbnails really, but they were really like a lot more detailed than they should have. At the end of the day, a thumbnail is really just a quick idea on how to understand the idea. I saw one of you guys putting circle for the faces, and I thought it was genius. You don't have to put details in them. There's some other people, guys, that rendered the whole character with details. It was looking great. You just didn't have to do all that work. So what you want to do is you want to keep shapes easy. You want to put like the big shape, understand where they're going to be placed a little bit to understand where you're going with the composition. The details will come next week when we're going to add all the details about the anatomy and then the background and then the full-on sketch. Mike says, when is it the deadline time for the thumbnails? I believe it's Sunday, but it's going to be in the handbook. I don't have the handbook in front of me. It's going to be in the handbook, but I believe it's Sunday at midnight, like you're suggesting here. For the time zone is, I believe it's PT, I think, midnight PT, Pacific time. And I have Marissa here that says, does the spiral have to fill the whole image? Wait. So many ideas kind of the golden ratio. Sorry, a question about the golden ratio. So talking about the golden ratio, does the spiral have to fill the whole image? Which canvas? So when it comes to and you give me a link here. When it comes to the golden ratio, I see what you mean. Yeah, when it comes to the golden ratio, you see, once again, grids are not step-by-step, like manual. Like the golden ratio, you'll find it in the nature in so many places, but it's not like, I think there's different, sorry, I'm going over the place here. There's different way to think when it comes to grids, and especially for the golden ratio, right? So it's a number that we see a lot in other places. It's just a formation that we see a lot in nature, right? The composition of it can be done just by simply aligning some elements of your composition on it, or dividing based on that basic grid at the end of the day. Like your example that you're showing me is an example where you have the grid just smaller within the middle of your composition. Why not? It could work. It's not because you're using the grid in a different way, it's not going to work, because there's a lot more than just the grids that could work. Having tangent line, for example, things are too close or too far away, unbalanced, and all that will make a difference. The grid is there to give you just a clear way, a clear road to start putting elements on it. If you defer a little bit from it, it's still going to look good, as long as you're not too far from it. Things that don't work is when you're completely outside of any of those grids and you have, let's say, like all your characters on the corners, or you have like all your material in one corner of it. It's going to create unbalanced things. But if you just use the grid as being just like just a placeholder, really, you'll be good. So for your example, I'd say, yeah, that works as well. You can take your grid and put it smaller, as long as you have the rest of the composition working as well. So all right, so that was all the questions that people sent me beforehand. Sorry, I totally forgot to have a look before. Now I'm going to go back in the chat, guys, and see what's the other questions. Hopefully I didn't miss any. All right, good. Brianna says, what do you do if the thumbnail is too heavy on one side? I'm having a difficult time balancing. All right, that's a great question. So when you have unbalanced composition, what you want to think about it is like it's like a balance visually, right? So if you have a lot of things on one side, you want to complement it by having something of interest on the other side. So for example, if you were to have let's say you have a canvas like this and you have a portrait in the top left corner, you want to have maybe like, I don't know, like a little bit of flowers on the other one, right? And you're gonna have a contrast, you're gonna have something. So, or you can have something like big, like a face is big, and then the flowers, what they are is lots of small details. Now, there's a lot of things that can be thought that are not included right now in the first module. It would have been just too much to add them. But all the principle of design, for example, about repetition, and doing a blank here, but there's I think 7 or 9 of them. When you use them in a certain way on your composition, it's going to really work. It's actually something that I would like to add to the course, to be honest. So I might work on it actually this year to add pieces of it, but I don't want to make the course too heavy at the same time. But for now, don't stress too much about it. Just think about it this way. If you have one thing that's on one side, you need to add something on the other side. And they don't have to be equal matter. You don't have to have one character here, same character there. You can have like a character that's smaller or bigger, and more in front of each other. And by placing them closer together or far away from each other, hopefully you understand what I'm doing here, it will move the balance, and you'll see visually, right? You want to basically have the same also amount of negative space that flows around, right? So you have a canvas with those two. By closing them together and moving them left or right, this is going to also create more space on the negative space around them. So it's really a question of like moving things around, looking at them. If you want to do a quick research about 2 things, it would be the principles of design. Understanding them will help you. And there's that super fun exercise called Note and Sketch. That's N-O-T-A-N sketch. I believe it's a Japanese way of drawing, which is all about light and shadow. And you make those quick, small thumbnails, and you try to just practice your eyes to put enough black paint versus white paint, basically, and the contrast in between them to really help you to understand how to balance objects. So hopefully this is good to know. There's so much information I could give about this. Hopefully this is helping you. Javon says, do you ever turn an unused thumbnail into an illustration for a personal project? Yeah, you could definitely do it. I think for me, I'm always more excited about the new idea, so it's pretty rare that I go back to the ideas that I've been doing. But if you have a few ideas that you want to do for this project, for example, and you're like, well, I'm going to choose this one for this project, but I would like to do another one for another one after this, absolutely do it. And like I said, you'll have Illustration for Imagination lifetime access. So maybe the next time you're doing illustration with us, you could use one of those. Yeah. Then I have Loria says, or Loria, sorry. I am new at digital painting and I'm not sure I can keep up the pace. Any advice? Well, first of all, if you're totally new, it might be a little bit harder for you, and that's okay. Just do your best here. Like I said, you'll be able to go back to the course as many times as you want. Try to do, like if you're not able to do 20, do 10, right? The idea that I'm giving you, the homework and the deliverables, is really to help you manage your own time. You don't have to do exactly the amount of exercises that I'm giving you. They are optimal, they are there to give you the maximum results, but you'll be able to go back to the course as many times as you want. So if you have a hard time with the momentum right now, just do as many as you can. At the end of the day, if you have 6, you're good to go when you think about it. If you have more, you have created more ideas, it's gonna be easier for you, but really, as long as you have 6, you'll be fine. And every new module, you'll have that first video, like I was saying, where I give you the homeworks and the deliverables. The homeworks are there to help you, absolutely, and I really wish that you guys will do all of them. But if you can't, because you don't have any time, that's okay. Just do the deliverables at the end of the day. That will help you to move on to the next module with more ease. Vijay says, I choose a negative character, but I want to show the character in a way. I'm not sure I understand your question. What do you mean negative? You mean like a villain? Is that what you mean? Let me know in the chat. Main says, we can have fun and take artistic license in this learning course, but what happens when you have an actual brief and that they're paying you $1? Where do you draw the line? Well, when you get to have a client and have a brief, then you have to follow the brief by the letter, right? The fun comes when you do a professional brief from a client, is to really follow their artistic vision, right? In this course, what I'm giving you is definitely an experience with the brief, but I made it loose enough for you guys to have a little bit more fun with it, obviously. If I were to be a client, I would have precise props, precise colors, precise direction, precise storytelling, and your work would be a lot more about the composition of those elements more than the storytelling of this element. So the big difference is right now I'm giving you the opportunity to change the story of it, to create something that flows better, and so with that flow, you'll be able to learn with more ease. But when you're gonna have a client, they're going to give you exactly what you need to do, and your job will be to create different version of it, different composition, to place their idea on the canvas. That's a big difference. I have Mev says, I always paint by making strikes with brushes, starting with shapes. It was a challenge. Because I've never done sketches. Can you give me some advice, or people just start using that technique? Yeah, sure. So the idea of it is to, wait a minute, just I understand the question correctly. Done sketches. So sketches by itself is an art, right? We are using it as developing ideas. I think a lot of people are stressed about the quality of their drawings and the quality of their sketches, where it's definitely nice to have nice sketches, but even me, my sketches are not the best ones. I develop my ideas at the sketches level, but then I put a lot more time into the final outline and the rendering of it. These thumbnails are just meant for you to understand where you're going to go with this idea, right? You could do stick figure and it would still work. It would not be super clear, but stick figure will still work. As long as you're doing shapes, really, like torso is a square, head is a circle, clouds are wavy lines. You don't have to go too much in details. You'll be able to go and add a little bit more details within the sketch phase next week. So my best advice to you that I can give you right now, without showing you a tutorial on how to push your sketches, is to just let go a little bit of your expectation of your sketches and just try to push your ideas and the composition a little bit of it. Like if everybody knows what you're putting on your thumbnails and understand your idea, you did a great job. It doesn't need to be the perfect sketches. It doesn't need to be the perfect lines. Really just if people can understand, all right, that's Sherlock Holmes, here's the castle, here's the dog, understand the composition of it, you're good to go. Don't stress too much about the final outcome. Pendley says, when submitting our 6 thumbnails, we have to fill up the form with our info. What is the date section for? Is it supposed to be a current date? Yeah, please put just the date of the day that you put it. This way, because sometimes I have previous students, or like in the previous students for the previous version of IFI. So if you put a date, then I can filter basically the work that you guys are gonna put it over. So yeah, just put the date of today. Kijhar says, came late to the Q&A. No problem, we're still here. Did they said something about thumbnails need to be submitted time-wise? Yeah, any question about when and how, you can check the student handbook. For that, you can download it on the side of the course. Vijay says, can we choose model from online? When you mean model, I'm assuming you're meaning like just model, like person that are modeling. Yeah, absolutely. Use any reference that you want. Obviously, if you were to do like a one-for-one, like copying the face of someone, you might have issue, but you can definitely like get inspired by the facial features of someone, modify them just a little bit to fit your own portrait, your own concept. You guys are welcome, by the way. Thank you so much. I'm still going to take a few more questions. I'm looking for a capital Q. I see that's the birthday of someone. I want to say happy birthday. I just saw it's happy birthday someone. Was I please? It's my birthday. Oh, Noor. Well, happy birthday, Noor. You guys are welcome. Vijay says, I choose a native character, but I want to show a character in a good way. Vijay, you repeated the same question. Can you please just explain to me what do you mean by negative character? Do you mean a villain? If you mean a villain, you can definitely switch. Like if you have a villain in a story, like the witch, for example, and you decide to make her good, you can definitely do this. I think I saw someone making the huntsman in the Little Red Riding Hood a villain, and I thought it was a great idea. So you can definitely change the character's core beliefs to make them a villain or good in your stories. All right, so let me just see that here. And then choose a bad person. So I think that's all the questions I have. Guys, if you have more questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm never far. You can always email me at hello@paintable.cc if you have any question during the whole 6 weeks, I guess 8 weeks we're going to be together, because I give 2 more weeks for the rendering and the coloring part. So you can always email me if you have any questions. But for the rest, I don't see any more questions. If I miss one, I'm going to give you guys another 5-10 minutes to put your question. Otherwise, I'll let you go with the rest of your day. I'm assuming most of you will be painting today to finish your sketches. I'm looking forward to see them. Make sure to upload them to the form. And next week, I'm going to take a sample of all that work and create an extra class with some more directive on how to push your thumbnails ideas. So yeah, that should arrive pretty soon. So I see VJ says right Valentina, and she says choosing a person that's she wants to show him as a good one. So yeah, hopefully I already answered that question, VJ. That was answering your question. And I'm not seeing any other questions. We might have some lag, so I'm still gonna wait 2 minutes. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for showing up, guys. I'm so happy that we're finally starting this IFI. I'm pumped to see your work. It's really a pleasure to see it. So yeah, have a good one. Have a good Saturday. If it's Saturday, a good Sunday. If it's Sunday, depending where you are in the world. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of your work during the weekend and next week. And we'll keep on keeping on, right? So yeah, have a good one. Have a good day. Happy painting. And I will talk to you in the community, guys. Ciao.